Coffee, what do you use for?
Water,
Drink
yeah.
over water.
Here you go, just take one.
Okay. That one pours more fast. Why did I not pour it over my iPad? He said just keep it.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. We're here for it.
Judge, I don't think the jury needs to be here for this, but I realize because we had the 911 tape all queued up, I never moved it into evidence, and it was stipulated, so.
Why don't you wait, we'll just do when they come
Oh,
out.
okay.
Please rise.
Everyone, please be seated. Welcome back, members of the jury. I was advised someone had asked questions about note taking. In my preliminary instructions, I advised you that you don't take those because they can be distracting. At the end of the day, we rely upon the combined recollection of all the attorneys. And I believe, Bashar, you indicated there was one other matter you wanted to take care of.
Yes, Your Honor, just that I never moved the disc of the 911 call into evidence. It was stipulated to.
All right, then that will be accepted as evidence. What does it mark as?
State's Exhibit number 1.
Thank you. And with that, you should call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, the state's next witness is Samantha Denoto.
And as you come up and stand right before the clerk here to my left.
State your name for the record.
Samantha Denoto.
You feel from testimony that you shall give in this matter is the whole truth.
Please have a seat.
Good morning. Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury your name?
Samantha Denoto.
And how old are you, Samantha?
23.
Do people call you Sam or Samantha?
Sam.
Where do you live?
Haddon Township.
Can you tell me which section of Haddon Township you live?
The extensions, Collinswood.
Okay.
Collinswood extension.
And who do you currently live with?
William Bishop.
Okay, and who is he to you?
He is my boyfriend.
Are you employed?
Yes, I am.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a leasing agent
And where do you work?
at the Lawrence Homes.
Where's that located?
That's in Mount Laurel.
Do you know an individual named David Creato?
Yes, I do.
And he's here in court with us now, correct?
Yes.
How do you know him?
He is my son's father.
And how long were the two of you together?
Approximately 7 years.
What do you call him?
Teacher.
How old were you when you started seeing the defendant?
13.
How did you meet?
At school.
Do you remember what grade you were in?
8th grade.
Which school were you guys going to when you met? Where's that located?
in Hempstead.
How old were you when the two of you broke up?
20.
And during your years together, did you and the defendant ever live together?
Yes, we did.
When did you live together? How old were you?
Approximately 2 years.
And what age were you?
I was 18 when I moved in his parents'
I
house.
was just going to ask you, where were you living when you lived together?
With his parents.
Where was their home located?
On Virginia Ave in Haddon Township.
And other than the defendant's parents, did anyone else live in the house with you and the defendant?
Yes, his sister did.
Okay, how old was she? In relationship to the defendant, is he older or younger?
She's younger than him.
Okay. So you've already indicated that you had a son and that the defendant was his father, correct?
Yes.
When was your son born?
June 1st of 2012.
What did you name him?
Brendan Lynn Creato.
How old were you when you had Brendan?
19.
And how old was the defendant?
19.
Where were you guys living when you had Brendan?
At his parents' house on Virginia Ave.
Can you give us just a brief description of his parents' house? Specifically, what I'm looking for is what were the sleeping arrangements when you were all living there after you had Brendan?
The sleeping arrangements were we had 3 bedrooms upstairs. One bedroom which DJ and I shared. The middle bedroom which was Brendan's room. And then the third bedroom was Sarah's room.
And Sarah is his sister?
Yes.
Okay, and where did his parents sleep?
Since I did have Brendan, they accommodated an extra room. They moved down to the basement.
And was the basement finished?
Yes.
How old was Brendan when you and the defendant broke up?
He was 2.
Were you still living at his parents' house when you broke up?
For a few months, yes.
Okay, explain to us how that worked.
He had gone to California for a few months, so I decided to stay there for a few months, and at my mom's house, my sister had an exchange student staying there, so we wanted to wait until she left to go back to Spain to move back home.
Okay, so it was your plan to move back to your mom's house?
Yes.
When did the defendant go to California?
Mid-June.
This would be 2014?
Yes.
How long was he gone?
Approximately a little under 3 months.
When did the defendant return from California?
Sometime in late August or early December, early September, I can't recall.
Okay, and do you recall when you moved out of his parents' house and back in with your mother? When was that?
Sometime in mid-late September.
Now, where was your mom's house?
In Haddon Township, on America.
Approximately how far is your mom's house from the defendant's parents' house?
Maybe a mile or so.
When you and the defendant split up, was he still here when you split up, or was he already in California?
He was already in California.
So you didn't have any custody arrangements for Brendan at the time that you guys split up, correct?
No.
Once the defendant returned to the area, did you guys have any custody arrangements?
We had an arrangement between the 2 of us, but not any kind of legal custody.
And what was the general arrangement?
He had him every Monday and Tuesday, and every other weekend. But if need be, we would always switch around if anything came up.
Who would take care of Brendan if you were both working?
Usually his sister, Sarah.
Did you guys have any kind of agreement with regard to child support?
Not until he went into daycare.
Okay. I'm going to get to that in just a minute. After you guys split up and you were living back at your mother's house, where would Brendan sleep when it was the nights that he spent with you?
He had his own little room inside my sister and I's room.
Can you describe your mom's house for us?
It's a 2-story, 3-bedroom. There's 2 bedrooms downstairs and 1 big bedroom upstairs, and there was pretty much a giant closet that we have that we made his room.
Oh. And you shared that room with your sister, correct?
Yes.
So you guys had the whole second floor of the house?
Yes.
How was Brendan? Was he a good sleeper?
Getting him to sleep was rough, but he slept through the night.
How did he react to the dark?
He didn't like it. We had a bifold door. We actually would have to like play with him because some nights it would stay open so much amount, and then some nights it would have to be all the way open so that way he could see into our room.
And did you leave the light on in your room when Brendan was in his little room in his bed?
Yeah, we would usually have like a stand-up lamp on.
You've testified that Brendan would sleep through the night, but did he sometimes wake up in the middle of the night?
Yeah, he would sometimes.
What would he do if he woke up in the middle of the night?
He would either go to my bed or my sister's bed.
Just like get in bed with you?
Yeah.
Now, you've indicated that with regard to child support, that at some point Brendan was getting ready to start preschool, correct?
Yes.
And when was that?
That was around August of 2015.
How old was Brendan then?
3 years old.
Where was he going to go to preschool?
Kindergarten.
Which one?
Cherry Hill, the Springdale location.
And how often did you sign him up to go to school?
He was there full-time, 5 days a week.
Was he potty trained at that time?
Yes, but just like any child, still the occasional accidents.
What did he wear at night when he was with you? What would he sleep in?
Usually underwear, but the occasional pull-ups.
What was the initial tuition for his school?
Approximately $276 a month. Or, I'm sorry, a week.
And what was the plan for paying that money? Who was going to pay it?
I actually got some help from Camden County.
Okay.
They were paying approximately a little under $100. And then DJ was supposed to give me $100 a week for that, and then I would pay the remaining.
Okay, and what was the remainder that you were responsible for?
Approximately around $80.
All right, now by the time Brendan was starting school, did you still have the same, I'm going to call it a custody agreement, or did you still have the same arrangements with the defendant as far as when he was going to have Brendan and when you were going to have Brendan?
Yes.
How would the defendant, how would he get Brendan when it was his turn, his weekend to have him? How would the exchange work?
He would usually pick him up from daycare on Friday. Either him, his mom, or his sister have done that.
And then how would you get custody of him back?
It depends what day it would be. Sometimes I'd be the one picking him up from daycare. Sometimes I'd pick him up from his mom's house.
What day would you normally pick him up if it was the defendant's weekend to have him?
Usually, sometimes if you have him on the weekend it wasn't, and then you have him sometimes, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday you have him. But then if it wasn't that weekend, I'd pick him up from school on Tuesday and then have him until next.
Did Brendan know how to open and unlock doors?
Yes.
Times when Brendan was with you or with your family, did he ever leave the house by himself during the day?
No.
Did he ever leave the house by himself after dark? Do you think he would do that?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustain the objection.
All right, Sam, I'm going to ask you to direct your attention to the weekend of October 9th through the 12th of 2015. Okay, it's Columbus Day weekend. Do you remember that weekend?
Yes.
Who was supposed to have Brendan that weekend?
DJ.
When did he get Brendan?
Friday from school.
When was Brendan supposed to come back to you?
On technically Tuesday night or Wednesday morning or Wednesday.
Had you guys made different arrangements for this weekend because of the holiday?
Yes, I had off for Columbus Day, and his school was actually closed, and he worked, so I wanted to, of course, spend a day with him and do something.
Okay, so when you say he worked, you're referring to DJ, correct?
Yes.
That Friday that the defendant picked Brendan up, or that someone from the defendant's family or the defendant picked Brendan up from school, who took him to school that morning? Friday morning?
I would have.
Right. And from the time you dropped him off at school Friday morning, when was the next time that you saw him after that?
Sunday.
All right, so Sunday, that would be October the 11th. Where did you see Brendan?
At my house.
How did you get custody of him back?
He was dropped off at the house.
At your house?
Yeah, my mom's house.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Do you know who had him Saturday and Sunday before you had him?
His mom.
When you say his mom, who are you referring to?
DJ's mom, Lisa.
Lisa Creato?
Yes.
What did you do with Brendan that Sunday once he was back at your house?
We were just having fun around the house.
And where did Brendan sleep that Sunday night?
In his room.
At your house?
Yes.
Now, if it was the defendant's weekend to have Brendan, would he normally spend Sunday night at his dad's house?
Yes.
Do you know where Brendan was sleeping when he spent the night at his dad's house?
To my knowledge, it was on a pull-out bed in his living room.
You were aware of where the defendant's apartment was located, correct?
Yes.
Had you ever been up inside of his apartment?
Only on one occasion.
And when was that?
I cannot recall.
Okay. All right. I want to direct your attention now to Monday, which was Columbus Day. You already told us you were off that day, and so was Brendan, correct?
Yes.
Was anyone else at home with you guys? With you and Brendan?
William Husher, my boyfriend, was with me. And some of my family may have been home, but I can't recall exactly.
Okay. And the defendant had to work that day, correct?
Yes.
Do you know where he worked?
His father's construction company.
Do you know where Brendan had dinner that night?
At my house.
Okay, so what was the plan for Tuesday?
The plan was for Monday night. He was picked up by his father.
Okay, and who was going to take him to school on Tuesday?
DJ.
And did DJ pick him up that Sunday night?
Yes, he did.
I'm sorry, Monday night. Who came to get him?
DJ and his father.
And what kind of a vehicle were they in?
And pickup truck.
Do you know whose truck it was?
His father's business truck.
Okay, and what color is it?
It's like a darker gray blue.
Right, what time did they pick him up?
Approximately 5:30.
What did you do after they picked him up?
DJ, well, I had to cash DJ's check because daycare was due on Tuesday since they were closed on Monday. So I left with William Horseshoe to go to my bank and cash his check.
Okay, when you say you had to cash DJ's check, what kind of a check was it?
Work paycheck.
It was his paycheck?
Yes.
Okay, why did you have to cash it for him?
Because he was unable to go to the bank and I needed his funds to pay daycare. And I was able to cash it.
Where did you cash it?
At Bank of America on Had an app.
All right, once you had his check cashed and you had the cash, what did you do next?
I had to go get a money order.
And where did you do that?
I go to 7-Eleven
Who was the money order for?
for kindergarten.
And do you remember how much it was?
Usually $187.
All right, so once you cashed his check and had the money order, where did you go next?
To DJ's apartment.
Why'd you go back?
Because he was taking me to school the next day, so I had to give him the check to put in Brandon's backpack.
The money order?
Yes.
Who was there?
Just DJ and Brendan.
And where were they when you saw them?
I pulled up to the apartment and they came down outside from, I'm assuming, his apartment.
Okay. Once you had given him the money order and presumably the change from his paycheck, what did you do next?
I said bye to myself.
And the whole time that you were running all these errands around, was your boyfriend with you?
Yes, he was.
So where did you guys go after you said goodbye to Brendan?
We actually went to that basis.
Where'd you do that?
Creatos, which is maybe a quarter-mile away from his apartment.
So did Brendan spend that Monday night at his father's apartment?
That I am aware of. Yes.
And who slept at your house that night?
It's all the usual that were in the house. My mom, Danielle, my stepdad, Jason, my brother, John, myself, my sister, Lexi, and my boyfriend, William Holshoe, spent the night with me that night.
Okay. After you saw the defendant when you gave him the money order, I'm sorry, I should have asked you this earlier. About what time was it when you did that, do you know?
Around 6 o'clock, 6:30.
Okay. So after you saw him, spoke with him around 6:30 in the evening, when was the next time that you spoke with him?
6 o'clock the next morning.
How did you speak with him?
Via phone call.
Did he call you?
Yes.
All right. What did he say when he called?
That Brendan was not in the apartment and he could not find him.
So what did you do?
I woke up Matt and literally ran into my car in what I was wearing and drove to his apartment.
How long did it take you to get to the defendant's apartment on Cooper Street?
Less than 5 minutes.
And I'm sorry, did you say, did Matt go with, or did William go with you?
Yes, he did.
Where were your mom and your stepdad at this point?
They were sleeping. I was in such a crazy daze that I left without waking anybody else up. I just ran out of the house.
Okay, and that includes your brother and your sister as well?
Yes.
All right. Tell us what you found when you arrived at the defendant's apartment.
Him and his mother were there, and they were just frantically searching outside.
Okay, do you remember if the police were there yet?
I don't believe so. If there was anyone there, it might have been one or two officers.
Okay.
But I feel like when I first got there wasn't anyone there.
So what did the defendant say when you got there?
That he woke up and Brendan was not there, and he searched everywhere in his apartment, and he had called his mother. His mother was already there, and they were searching outside, and they didn't know where he'd be. They didn't have any idea where he'd be, and they were going through people's yards frantically.
Okay. Did you start to search the area for Brendan?
I did. We just kind of like it. Just walk, like trying to look at people's backyards, going up and down the streets.
And you're familiar with that neighborhood?
Yes.
Did you find anything helpful?
No.
As you were walking around the neighborhood looking for your son, did you realize you'd forgotten something at home?
Yes.
What did you forget?
Shoes.
You were barefoot when you got there?
Yes.
And what were you wearing? What were you wearing?
Oh, I was wearing a pair of shorts and a t-shirt, and that's it.
Had you been sleeping in that outfit?
Yes.
At some point, before Brendan was located, did you speak with some detectives?
Yes, I did.
And do you have any recollection of who they were? Which agency they
I
were?
could possibly remember faces, but not names.
Okay. What did the detectives ask you to do?
They had me go back to my mother's house.
Okay, and why did they want to do that?
Because they wanted to check to make sure Brendan didn't walk all of that way.
Okay. Back to your mom's house?
Yes.
And did you agree to that?
Yes, I did.
And did anyone from your family go along with you for that trip back to your mother's house?
No.
And let me back up again. Before you were taken back to your mom's house to look for Brendan there, had any of your family members arrived on the scene?
Yes, my mom did.
Okay. How were you able? How did you get in touch with your mother from the defendant's apartment?
Well, she was asleep, so I had to call her about, let's say, close to 10 times to get a hold of her.
Okay. Did you finally woke her up?
Yeah.
Okay. And did anybody else from your family come over?
I believe my stepdad came over with all of who was there.
But none of those people went with you when you went back to your mom's house?
No.
Okay. Including your boyfriend?
He stayed.
Stayed back at the...
Back at the scene.
Okay, so when you got done at your mom's house, when the detectives got done looking through your mom's house, where did you go from there?
They went and took me to the Haddon Township Police Station.
Did they tell you why they were taking you to the police station?
No.
And did you learn anything about Brendan after you got to the police station?
After a while of being there, I feel like.
Okay. Do you remember where they took you? Like within the building, I should say, not the police station.
All the, like, to the, I guess, their top floor.
Okay.
In like a small little room.
And who were you with in the small little room?
At first I was by myself,
Okay.
but then they had brought my father up.
And he sat with you?
Yes.
Do you remember... Do you remember what they said to you when they told you?
They told me that they found my son in the woods.
Okay, Sam. I'm going to ask you to look ahead a little bit to November the 12th of 2015, okay? Did you have a conversation with the defendant that day?
Yes.
Where did that conversation occur?
At his mother's house.
Did you record that conversation?
Yes.
And why did you do that?
Because I was asked to.
Who asked you to?
Detective Rhodes?
And how did you record the conversation?
I had a cell phone and a key fob in both pockets, in each of the pockets of the cardigan.
And they were recording devices?
Yes.
And during that conversation that you had with the defendant, did you guys talk about what happened that night?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
It was the same story that was over and over again.
And what was it?
That he had put him to bed and went to bed and stayed asleep and woke up the next morning and he was not there.
Is there anything else about the conversation that stands out in your mind as being significant?
Yes.
Tell us what that is.
I would say towards the end of our conversation, we kind of like talked about like what else could have happened to him, and he had told me that maybe the spirits told him to walk down to the woods, which is completely odd and unexplainable. It's not logical, or it's not able to happen.
Did he talk to you at all about that location?
Yes, this is very like a sacred spiritual spot.
Judge, could I have a moment with defense counsel?
You may.
Okay. Thank you, Judge. I don't have any other questions. Thank you, Sam.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Denoto, good morning. My name's Richard Fascino, and I represent DJ Creato. I'm going to do my best to ask my questions in a way you understand and that's loud enough for you to hear. But if you don't hear me or you don't understand me, please tell me and I'll try to ask it a different way, okay?
You're in good time.
Thank you. Ma'am, I'm very sorry, but I'm going to have to ask you some questions that are going to be sad and uncomfortable, and my heart sincerely goes out to you, so please bear with me, okay? It's fair to say you and I have never had the opportunity to speak before, right?
Yes.
Okay. You've met, though, before with the prosecution, fair?
Yes.
And with numerous detectives, right?
Yes.
Could you say about how many times you've met with agents of the state, either Ms. Shaw or Mr. Moran, or detectives from either the prosecutor's office or Haddon Township?
I'd like in between 10 and 15 times.
Okay. And when you did that, do you know, did they take notes of what you were describing to them or telling you?
Yes.
Okay. Ma'am, I want to go back to the beginning of your relationship with DJ. When is it when you guys first started going out?
When we were 13.
13 years old?
Yes.
And you dated through high school?
Yes.
And at some point you said you found out you were expecting your son.
Yes.
When was that?
That was a few months after we graduated, so that was in approximately September of 2011.
And you've been going, I'm doing the math right, I'm not trying to trick you, I'm just not a great mathematician. About 4 or 5 years you've been going together at that point?
Yes, because high school is 4 years, so it's a little over 4 years.
Okay. Is it fair to say, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but that this was unexpected, you weren't planning on having a baby?
No.
And when you found out that you were having a baby, is it fair to say that at no time did DJ ever suggest that you terminate the pregnancy or anything like that?
Objection.
Allow the question.
And
Answer.
No.
no. And DJ didn't say he wanted to break up with you if you're going to have the baby or anything like that, right?
No.
And in truth, actually, it is something that you and he discussed to say that you did not want to do that you wanted to have this baby, right?
Yes.
And after you had this baby, you and at some point you moved into DJ's house with him and his parents and his sister Sarah, right?
Yes, I moved in before I had it.
Okay. And was there a particular reason that you moved in? Did he invite you to move in? Did you ask if you could move in?
My mom's house was a little bit fuller than his house, and they had more room to accommodate.
Is it fair to say, though, that you guys wanted to be together as a family, you, DJ, and your son?
Yes, but we could have done that at either place.
Understood. But there was no plans for you to live in separate locations?
No.
Okay. How long was it that you lived at the Creato residence and your residence?
Approximately two years.
Okay.
2.5 years.
And at some point, you said DJ goes to California?
Yes.
And that was in June, you said, right?
Yes.
So at this point, if I'm, again, doing the math right, Brendan was about a year and a half old?
Well, it was in June, so he was 2.
Okay.
It was June 1st is
So
his birthday.
he had just turned 2. Okay.
Yes.
Did DJ tell you he was going out to California?
Shortly before, yes.
Okay. But he was going, right?
On his own choice, yes.
Right. And he stayed out there for, you said, just under 3 months, right?
Yeah, approximately.
And during that time, you continued to live at the Creatos, right?
Yes.
And at some point after he left, he told you he wanted to break up, right?
That was my decision.
Okay. While you lived there at the Creatos house, after DJ left and while he was in California, is it fair to say that the Creatos were supportive and helpful of you in taking care of Brendan?
Yes, they were. They even had told me that they were going to let me stay there and have him move out if I were to stay there with Brendan.
They offered that to you?
Yes.
And
not move back to my mom's house.
at no time while he was out in California did you ever take any action in family court to try to get custody, get him to terminate his parental rights, or to get, money, child support, right?
No.
Okay. And up until the time that he'd left, was he a supportive and good father and good partner to you taking care of the kid?
Supportive father, yes. There are reasons why we broke up.
I understand that, and look, I realize that I have to get into some of your personal affairs here, and I don't mean to any more than I absolutely have to. But without getting into the specifics of your relationship, he took good care of Brendan.
Yes.
He was sweet and loving the way a father should be to his son, wasn't he?
Yes.
You never had any doubts that he loved his son, did you?
No.
In fact, is it fair to say, Ms. Denoto, in the course of those 10 or 12 meetings that you had with the prosecution, they had to convince you that DJ did this?
Not necessarily, no.
They did not have to convince you that?
No.
You thought that on your own?
In this situations that I can create of what I think can happen, I can come up with my own conclusion of what's possible and what's not possible.
I understand that, ma'am, but I want you to listen to my question. I don't mean this disrespectfully, but you had some 10 or 12 meetings with the prosecution, right?
Yes.
And your testimony here is that they didn't try to lay out this case for you to persuade you that DJ did this?
I can honestly tell you not one of them directly told me to directly believe that he did it.
And I don't anticipate that they would, ma'am, but they did try to present you with evidence, didn't they? They did try to lay out what they believed had happened for you, right? There's no wrong answer.
It's kind of like a yes and no question.
Okay.
Because I feel like I wasn't presented with even everything that he's like all of the evidence. It's not like I've been an open book to everything that's going to be shown in this courtroom.
I don't mean to imply that you have been, but I want to talk about this unique position that you're in, having spoken to the prosecutors 10 or 12 times, and me never before. Ma'am, you ultimately, you do break up with DJ, and you said that you move into your mother's house, right?
Yes.
And I'm sorry if you said it already. How far away was your mother's house from the Creato house?
Mile, less than a mile.
Okay. And how far? The Creato house is very near to the apartment that DJ was living in at the time this occurred, right?
Yes, I believe it's only about a block and a half, 2 blocks away.
Okay. How far, is that further away from your mother's house or closer to your mother's house?
Ever so slightly, a little further.
Okay, so if your mother's house, you said, is about a mile or a little less than a mile?
Yeah, so it might be just at a mile or a tad bit over a mile.
Okay. When was it that you moved out of the Creato house and into your mother's house?
Sometime in mid or late September.
And at some point, DJ came back from California, right?
Yes, he came back before I moved down.
And did the Creatos, true to their statement, say that he could move out and you could stay there?
I did not want to do that.
Okay. You just wanted to go back to your mother's?
Yes.
When DJ came back from California, did he ask for you to get back together with him, to go back to California with him, for you and Brendan to go to California with him?
Yes.
And you declined to do that?
Yes, I did.
You didn't want to be with DJ anymore, right?
That, and I didn't want to move somewhere where we didn't have any family, we didn't have jobs, and we we don't know anyone.
Okay. But it was certainly requested more than once from DJ that you guys get back together and move out to California.
Yes.
Again, not trying to get into the private affairs of your relationship any more than I need to. From then on, you had a cooperative agreement with DJ and with the Creatos about the custody and management of your son, right?
Yes.
Sometimes you would watch him, sometimes DJ would watch him, the parents, the sister, sometimes your parents. There was a real support group in place,
Yes.
right?
Yes, there always was.
And at no time, while DJ was in California, or after he came back and you didn't want to get back together with him, did you ever take him to court or seek a more formal arrangement for custody, right? You're doing it the way it's supposed to be done, by agreement. So even though you had some weekends or some days, and he had other weekends and other days, if you wanted to do something, if there was, for example, your birthday fell on his day, you would just work that out between yourselves.
Yeah.
And you never had any problems doing that, did you?
No, not usually.
Was there ever a problem where nobody could, let me strike that, let me ask this way first. Was there ever a problem when nobody wanted to watch Brendan?
No.
Brendan was loved by everybody, wasn't he?
Yes.
Okay. And was there ever a problem where nobody could watch him, like logistically? Everybody had to be at work or at school or somewhere else?
Not really. His sister actually had a pretty convenient job. She babysat at I believe a yoga studio or something like that, and she would actually bring him to work with her if she needed to.
And when you say his sister, you mean DJ's sister, Sarah?
Yeah.
So there was always someone that was available to watch Brendan, almost, at least, that you can't think of a specific time otherwise.
No, there might have been a few occasions where I had to take off from work, or I had my boyfriend William Holshu watch him because he was sick, and you can't go to daycare when you're sick.
Right.
So
Okay,
it might
but-
have been a few occasions.
But it was a rare occurrence.
Yes.
I want to talk to you a little bit, and we haven't heard it yet, and I anticipate we will, about this recorded conversation you had with DJ in November.
Okay.
Was it your idea, or the detective's idea, or the prosecutor's idea, if you remember, to go in and have this recorded conversation?
The detective contacted me about it.
And you were willing to do it?
Yes.
Okay. At no time, it's fair to say, did DJ ever say that he had done anything wrong, right?
No.
And at no time did he change the basic part of his story about what happened that morning, right? And so it's clear you'd had other conversations with DJ and with his family between the morning of October 13th and November 12th when you had this recorded conversation, right?
Yes.
And it's fair to say in all of those conversations, DJ was pretty consistent in what he told you.
That I can recall, yes.
You said DJ talked to you about this very odd, strange thing with the spirits, right?
Yes.
Did you know DJ to be a little odd in his spirituality?
In a different spirituality than I think you may think.
Okay. But is the answer then yes, you did find him to be odd in some spiritual ways?
Yes.
And so it's clear it wasn't odd in a way that involved sacrifice or anything like that, right?
No, just seeing things.
He believed he had visions?
No, like, feeling spirits, seeing spirits.
Was it over the entire course of your relationship with DJ that he had told you about this?
Occasionally, yes.
So it's fair to say then that this conversation he had with the mother of his child, who he'd known now for, at that point, what, 8 or 9 years? That it was not the first time you'd heard him say anything like this.
I wouldn't say telling me a spirit told my child to walk down the woods with is that's obviously very unusual.
I agree with you completely. But it is not the first time he had suggested to you anything about spirits talking or anything like that, right?
No.
Okay. And again, so it's clear, when we talk about his sense of spirituality, we're not talking about Satanism or sacrifice or hurting anybody, right?
No.
In fact, in the 8 years or so you knew DJ up until this time, would you agree with me he's a pretty gentle person?
Everyone has their... Yes, but everyone has their moments.
And I don't dispute that for a moment, but some people have more moments than others, do you agree? he has fewer moments than others, right?
Yeah.
He's a gentleman.
Yes.
Sweet, soft-spoken.
Yes.
You never heard him or saw him strike your son, right?
No.
Never heard him in any way. How long was Brendan at kindergarten?
Approximately 2 months.
And before
It
that,
was started the end of August. So it only went September, and then a little bit, obviously, of October, and then maybe a week or two of August.
and
So
be-
not even 2 months.
and before that, had he ever been any other daycare or formalized setting, you know, where he went with other kids during the day?
Besides when Sarah had taken him to work, he would interact with other children in parks, but other than that, no, nothing formal.
When Sarah took him to her work, you said she was a babysitter at the yoga studio?
I don't know if it was exactly a yoga studio. I know it wasn't like a full gym, but it was like a private exercise studio.
But the point, if I'm following you, is that she was able to bring him there and he was able to be with the other kids that she was watching for whoever was working out or doing what they were doing, right?
Yes.
Okay. Was he formally enrolled in that, or did that require any formal enrollment?
No, it didn't.
Okay. It's just you bring your child in the morning
Yeah,
and
it's
you
like
pick,
when you go to the gym, you pay $10, you know, to watch your kid for a few hours. She just kind of brought him along.
and he would just stay there as long as she had to be there.
Yeah,
Okay.
usually it was only a few hours.
Brendan had some behavioral issues with other kids, right?
Yes,
He was acting out.
yes.
And did that start at kindergarten, or did that start out when he was with Sarah, the yoga student?
I can't recall. I don't remember getting any information from her about him acting out there.
At kindergarten, though, you did get some information about him acting out, right?
Yes.
What kind of things was he doing?
He pushed like a little tricycle they ride around. He pushed a kid off because he wanted it. There were a few other incidents, but it wasn't anything extreme. It was like he didn't want to listen. He didn't want to like do what he was told.
There was an issue, wasn't there, where he punched somebody in the throat?
I can't recall that one.
Was there an issue where he spat on another child?
Not that I can recall.
Did he receive any treatment because of his behavioral issues?
They had asked me to, they gave me the papers, I can't remember what service it was, but it was like a state service, where it was provided by the state, and they had asked me to contact them, and he was getting, play therapy. They would go to the daycare a few days a week, and then they would come to my mother's house a few days a week.
How long before his death had that started?
Only a few weeks.
So he went once a week or twice a week?
It was actually, I want to say 3 to 4 times a week.
Okay.
And he didn't go anywhere. They came to us.
Okay. They would talk to you about ways to manage his behavior better, fair?
Yes.
And they were trying to figure out reasons why he may have had behavioral issues, fair?
Yes.
Okay, now he was around, well, he would have turned 3 in June, right?
Yes.
So he's 3 years and a couple of months, right?
Yes.
Was he speaking?
Oh, yes.
Was he a good talker, for lack of a better way of putting it?
Yes.
Okay. Was he able to talk to you or to DJ or anybody else about why he was acting out when he acted out?
Most of the time it was because he wanted to be like referencing like the Hulk, like superhero movies that he watched that were made for adults, not like the child version where it's a bit
I understand.
less violent.
I understand. Was he ever examined by a doctor to address his behavioral issues?
No, it didn't get that far. It wasn't that bad.
Was he ever interviewed privately without you or DJ or any other adult there?
Well, at his school, I mean, there's obviously his teacher that oversees it, because it's not like it's in they have a private room and they do it. But it was always with another adult around.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the very last one.
Another adult, because at daycare, I wasn't there, so it was the director or the teachers that are there.
So at any time, was he interviewed just by individuals from the state, or just by people from this program that was addressing his behavior issues?
I would still be there. It's not like I would interfere with them, but I still overwatched it and saw it.
Did they ask Brendan if anybody was hurting him or touching him?
I can't recall the exact questions they asked.
And I understand they ask in a very specific way, but you understand what I'm getting at. They were trying to determine if he was acting out based on being molested.
Yes.
And that was a concern, obviously, to them, and I suspect to you.
No, not to me.
Let me rephrase this. I don't mean that you thought it was happening. I mean, obviously, if that were happening, it would be a concern. Fair?
Yes.
And for these folks from the state who were evaluating him, they thought that could be. They weren't saying it. It is.
I'm going to object at this point, Judge. This is like triple hearsay.
I agree. It's objection. Let's move on.
Sure. Of course. Lastly, Miss Denoto, you talked about your boyfriend, William Holshoe,
Yes.
and he actually goes by Matt. Is that right?
Yes, that's his middle name.
Okay. And at the time this happened, he was with you. In fact, if I heard your testimony right, he came with you to DJ's house, right?
Yes.
And he stayed there while you went back to your mother's to see if Brendan had walked the mile or so back that way, right?
Yeah, they only wanted me.
Okay.
They didn't want anyone else to come with me.
Did Matt and DJ get along?
At first, DJ did not want him around him. Just
DJ did
because-
not want Matt?
Matt around
Brendan.
Just because of the manly fact that I don't want another man around a child.
Well, Matt also has a
Judge.
criminal history.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that correct?
Yes, but I don't believe DJ knew about any of the history.
Well, when you say you don't believe that DJ knew about that, is that because you hadn't told DJ, or because DJ said to you he's not a criminal, or something like that?
I didn't say anything regarding to his history.
Okay, so you don't actually know what DJ knew, you just know you never mentioned it to him.
Yes.
When did you start dating Matt?
In the summer of 2014.
And you're still together now?
Yes.
Okay. And at the time that you were dating Matt, did he tell you about his criminal issues?
Judge, I'm going to object.
Sustain the objection.
Can we see it sidebar, Ron? Can we see it sidebar?
Absolutely.
Your Honor, based on our prior site,
I'm going to have a side word here.
Okay. Okay. We can have just a moment here, Judge. Sorry. We have a lot of equipment on the table. With regard to the behavioral issues, that Brendan was getting into some trouble when he was at school, right?
Yes.
And what was the nature of the trouble that he was getting in? Like,
I feel like a little bit more than your average toddler, just acting out.
okay.
Not
And he was kicking and hitting sometimes, correct?
Yes, when he didn't get his way.
And what did you say you believe the basis of that to be? Where was he getting those ideas?
I feel like from action movies.
Okay, and who would he watch action movies with?
I'm assuming whether it's with DJ or at his parents' house.
He didn't watch those with you?
No.
You also testified that, to your knowledge, that the defendant that, to your knowledge, the defendant was never hit or strike or be violent towards Brendan in any way, correct?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you to think back to approximately December the 3rd of 2014. Do you recall if the defendant had any pets in that time frame?
At his parents' house or at his apartment?
2014 was still, or let me back up a little bit. Do you remember where he was living then?
He moved on 2 separate occasions.
Okay.
I can't recall when he first moved out of his parents' house in Virginia.
Okay. When he moved out, where did he move to? To Belmont or Brookline?
Brookline.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
I'll move along, Judge.
that's the only reason I'm moving out.
Do you ever recall him having a pet rat?
I'm not allowed to question.
Yes.
And do you know what the rat's name was? Do you recall the defendant ever telling you about an incident with Brendan and the rat?
No.
You don't recall that? I'm gonna ask you to take a look at something on the screen. Do you want to see this? I'm gonna refresh your recollection. Oh, okay. So you don't ever recall an incident?
Well, that last objection, that was question, counsel.
I'm going to back up just a little bit. After you and the defendant split up, how did the two of you communicate?
Usually by text.
Okay. And, is that how you would make arrangements and let each other know what was going on? Okay. Okay, just a moment, Your Honor. Receiving any text messages from the defendant where he indicated that he got physical with Brendan? If you have received a text message like that, if you had an opportunity to look at it, would that refresh your recollection?
Objection to the speculation of our objection to the nature of this. What should I testify?
It's an appropriate question, no doubt.
Yes. Judge Maker, so yes. Judge, I think that's it.
Has you have any questions on me?
I do, Ron. I'm going to thank you.
Understood, yes, thank you very much. Members of the jury, we've reached what is a luncheon recess. I think I told you yesterday we were going to have a shorter day today because there's some matters I have to take care of this afternoon. Accordingly, we are going to report date now. We're not going to get together again until next Tuesday, which will be the 25th, as you know. We talked about being together Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. You've heard a lot of testimony, you've heard all the concepts, you've heard things that you're dispersing in some desire to investigate these things or look things up. Again, my definition is not conduct any research. I also charged in the beginning that you have to totally avoid any media regarding this file. Obviously, there's media coverage. You're not to read or look at any of the media or discuss any of the media coverage with anyone including your family members. At the end of the day, all the deliberating jurors have to hear the same evidence from this witness stand or exhibits corrected in evidence and not hear whatever other people or said. Accordingly, with that instruction, I wish everyone a very pleasant weekend. I will see you back here Tuesday, 9 o'clock, and we'll pick up with the rest. Again, don't Google anything, don't look anything up.
Please rise.
Everybody in the courtroom sort of done. I do want to speak with the media just on a few issues. Frankly, more informally. Whose microphone was placed up here? Can I see it? Can we get off the record with the reference to this discussion?